Hello, my friend. Today, I'd like to have a thoughtful conversation about the structure and sound of questions in the English language. It's something that often creates confusion, especially for learners who are trying to distinguish between a genuine question and a regular statement. I've noticed that many people, even those who've studied English for some time, still feel unsure when it comes to identifying whether someone is asking something or merely making a declaration. So let's begin by exploring a few examples of simple, everyday questions to build our understanding from the ground up. For instance, when I say, "Do you speak English?" can you hear how my voice lifts slightly at the end? Do you speak English? Do you enjoy eating pizza? Are you originally from the United States? Each of these questions sounds clearly inquisitive, and one big clue lies in the tone of voice used at the end. It rises gently, indicating that the speaker is expecting an answer. This rising pitch typically accompanies yes or no questions, especially those formed using the auxiliary verb do, or the be verb, such as are or is. When someone asks, "Do you like pizza?" their tone goes up a bit. If they ask, "Are you from the United States?" that intonation also elevates near the end. This change in pitch is a natural feature of spoken English and acts like a signal for listeners to recognize a question. However, not all questions in English follow this same rising melody. Some types of questions, particularly the ones that begin with words like what, where, when, who, why, or how, behave differently and can sometimes be mistaken for statements. Let me demonstrate that. First, listen to this sentence. My name is Cristiano. You'll notice that my voice remains rather flat as I say it. My name is Cristiano. There's no rise, no sharp dip, just a steady, level tone. Now, when I shift into asking a related question, such as what's your name, something interesting happens. My intonation doesn't rise at the end the way it did with the earlier examples. In fact, you might even hear a slight downward drop. What's your name? It may be subtle, but it's there. The question sounds softer, flatter, and more reserved in tone. This can lead to confusion, especially if the listener doesn't catch the question word at the start. If someone didn't clearly hear the word what, they might not even realize a question is being asked. Let's look at another comparison. I might say, I live in the United States. This is a straightforward statement. Now I ask, where do you live? The tone doesn't rise, it falls or stays neutral. It's easy to see how someone might misinterpret that as a sentence instead of a question, especially if they miss the word where. All of the WH words, including who, what, when, where, why, and how, follow this same intonation pattern. These are question words that don't rely on the rising tone to identify themselves as questions. Because of that, the melody of these sentences is much more subdued and can even feel like a gentle drop at the end rather than a lift. Let me offer you a variety of examples so you can get used to how they sound. What's your name? Where are you from? Who are your closest friends? How do you feel about this class? When did you begin studying English? Why are you learning this language? Notice how all these questions share a similar intonation, they lean downward slightly or remain neutral at the end. That's quite different from a yes or no question like is this your notebook or do you like coffee, where you can clearly hear the upward pitch. That's why it's so important to train your ear and become familiar with these sound patterns. Understanding intonation can dramatically improve your ability to identify whether someone is asking for information or simply making a remark. As you continue learning English, pay close attention to both the structure of the question and the way it's spoken. Don't be fooled into thinking that every question ends with a higher tone. That's only true for yes or no questions. WH questions rely more on the actual question word itself rather than the pitch of the voice. So, if someone asks you something like what's your name or how old are you, and their voice doesn't rise, remember it's still a question. You'll gradually become more confident in recognizing these patterns. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and most importantly, enjoy the journey of learning. Every new insight like this takes you one step closer to fluency. You're doing incredibly well, and this type of attention to detail is exactly what will set your speaking and listening skills apart. So keep your ears sharp and your curiosity strong. Remember, English is not just about memorizing grammar rules, it's about listening closely, understanding tone, and feeling the rhythm of real communication. Keep going, and you'll find yourself growing more and more fluent with each passing day.